Thank you for being here. Busy show today. Always great to welcome in. Fantastic guitar player. Guy I've known many, many years. Always fun to see him. Always fun to talk to him. Joining us live now on the show, our first guest in the program, it's Vernon Reid. Vern, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. How are you doing, Eddie?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Congratulations on this record. Hoodoo Telemetry coming out Friday. When did you work on this thing, man? When did you, it's been a while since you made a record on your own as a solo act. When did you get the idea to do this?
Oh, man, it was before the pandemic. I started working on it. And I worked on it actually with another legendary guitar player engineer, Ivan Julian, who played with Richard Hell and the Voidoids back in the punk days, you know? And, we worked out of, basically this record was recorded essentially in Brooklyn, at his place, Zebra Sound, Super Giraffe, not Zebra, Super Giraffe Sound. Got me nervous, Eddie. Anyway, yeah, man, so it started before the pandemic, and was doing a combination of things, like looking at some older pieces that I recorded that I'd never put out there, and added new guitar, new drums, new bass, and to save some of the original vocals. And then I did some live in studio tracks, and it was putting it all together. And in the middle of all of that, I had experienced, the world experienced, the loss of the great writer, critic, band leader, Greg Tate, who was a co-founder of the Black Rock Coalition. He passed on December 7th of 2021, and that kind of spun the project into a different area for me. And I didn't really even realize it at the time, but when I finished all of it, I realized that I wanted to make a record that my friend Greg would like, It's kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I'm sorry, man. I did not realize that Greg passed away. I'm pretty sure he was in my studio with you years ago, wasn't he?
Yeah. We were both guests at one time. Yeah, man. Over 30 years of friendship, and we had a lot in common, and always talking about science fiction, comic books. Jack Kirby, we talked about everything, Hendrix, Van Halen, all these common things that we enjoyed. He turned me on to the science fiction writer William Gibson and all this kind of stuff we had in common. And, so a lot of that shared aesthetic went into Hoodoo Telemetry.
Is the as you mentioned, Greg was the co-founder of Black Rock Coalition, so I'm assuming Black Rock Coalition is continuing on, right?
Yeah, it is continuing on. What's freaky about it is that we had our first event on December 7th, 1985, and he passed away on December 7th, 2021, the day we had our first pop party. So that was really wild. Yeah.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry. I don't know how that escaped me. I did not know that. Okay, so going back to your record, was this, so did you have it sounds like you have, and are you the type of guy as a writer and player, do you have a bank of stuff? Like, is there a lot of stuff that you record and write that you just don't use, you don't find the right place for it, and then you kind of recall that stuff and then kind of revisit it? Or when you make something new, do you always just like, I'm starting from fresh, brand new, or is it a mix of the two things?
It was absolutely a mix of the two things, Eddie. There was like the two first singles, The Haunting, which is sung by my friend Kevin Webb, and Beautiful Bastard, which was sung by the great vocalist Rashid. There was their tunes from kind of back in the day, and they just didn't fit on the Yohimbi. I had a project with DJ Logic. It didn't fit on the Yohimbi Brothers thing. I was on another track when I did those earlier, the Mask records. And I was going back over a catalog of a lot of different things, because I also do music for independent documentaries and things. I was going through all of these songs, and I said, man, I'm feeling these songs. So I wound up putting them on. And then I also did live tracks. So I did a version. There's going to be a version of Politician. You know, the great Cream song was my favorite song to play with the late great Jack Bruce. You know, I was incredibly blessed and fortunate to work with him. So, you know, I used Greg Tate's band, Burnt Sugar, to record a version of Politician, and then we also did Freedom Jazz Dance, and we did a tribute to DJ Logic, who like kind of like a Miles Davis type of thing, you know, called the Bronx Paradox, and those are the totally live in studio tracks.
When did you work with Jack Bruce?
Oh my gosh, it's 2012, the mid-aughts, early aughts, actually. Early aughts. I was he had a band called the Queequegland Express, which also featured Bernie Worrell on keyboards. It was incredible, you know, and El Negro Hernandez on drums, Robbie Amin on drums, you know, and Richie Flores on congas, you know, that was the band. And we were one of the few bands that went out to Europe after 9/11. You know, we went out we went on tour, and then I did a project with him with John Medeski and Cindy Blackman Santana called Spectrum Road, which featured the music of Tony Williams around 2012. So we'd been working together for a while. He put me on his record, A Question of Time, after the first Living Color record came out, and which is wild to me because I heard Sunshine of Your Love like any other kid in the 70s, you know. So it was yeah, it was a very special. I mean, 60s. Yeah, you know, he was a wonderful person to work with, and fantastic.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there's a great version of Politician on the new record. So Vern, I want to ask you about I love your guitar playing. I always did, and I love the tone of it, and I love the attack and the way you play. It's awesome, and you set that, man, right out of the gate with the record, because the opening track, Door of No Return, where did that come together? That's an instrumental track. Where did that come together?
Yeah, man, that was interesting, man, because I started, you know, I was very influenced as well by the fusion, the jazz rock fusion movement, and you know, and Jeff Beck in particular, you know, because Jeff Beck was a rockabilly prodigy, and then, you know, he was friends with John McLaughlin, of course, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and all that great music, and then thinking about Blow by Blow and all these wonderful things that Jeff Beck put into the world, you know, so there's definitely an influence of that, as well as, you know, Pete Cozy, who played with Miles Davis. You know, there's a lot of different players that have influenced me over time. And we were rocked by it, losing him. That was wow, you know.
You were a big Tommy Bolin fan too, weren't you?
Oh my God, yes, absolutely, yeah, man.
And another guy that could do everything from his own stuff to Deep Purple to playing with Billy Cobham. I mean, there's a lot. I could definitely tell that was an influence on you, because that's the kind of thing that Tommy Bolin could do. I mean, he played with everybody.
Oh man, he's so fabulous. I'll tell you, that opening track on Spectrum, Quadrant 4.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like sci-fi boogie blues. Incredible guitar player, you know. And he was the kind of rock guy who would just play. You know, it didn't matter to him whether it was quote unquote jazz. He was going to play he was going to do his thing. And him, Jan Ackerman, Robert Fripp. You know, these are players that, of course, Jimi Hendrix. You know, these are people that influenced me a great deal. Yeah, I loved him. He's a fabulous player.
He's a guy that doesn't get talked about enough. You're a little older than I am. Did you get a chance to see Tommy Bolin live?
No,
I'm not rubbing that in on you.
Well, here's the
just
thing.
context.
You know, the great Lee Sklar. You know, I gotten to know Lee Sklar, and he plays bass, you know, on Spectrum, and he told me, we were at a NAMM show in California, and he told me, he said, man, the greatest professional disappointment in his life was that the Spectrum band with Jan Hammer, you know, they were going to tour. They're getting ready to tour, and Tommy Bolin was in the James Gang, and he was contractually obligated, and they would not let him go. And so the Spectrum tour never didn't happen. And that was, he said that was his hugest disappointment. They were so ready to do it, and managers back then had a great deal of power over what artists did or could or couldn't do back then, and unfortunately that never came to be.
Yeah, if people that don't know about Tommy Bolin and his history, I mean, there's certainly a contingency of people who know all about him and love him, but there's a lot of people that just don't. It's not a household name, but if you get a chance, I mean, check out some of his stuff. Tragically, he had an awful drug habit that ended up, taking his life just when I think he was about to really break into the mainstream awareness. But I don't know a lot of people had a chance to see him live, or at least see him when he was really at the, still sharp, because towards the end, when the drugs took over, he didn't have, there were some bad shows in there. So.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame, because one of the greatest things he did was he used this device, the Echoplex, and he had a way of manipulating the Echoplex, while he played guitar, that was kind of unprecedented. He was really ahead of his time. I recommend anybody listening go back to the Billy Cobham Spectrum record, the solo record he did after Mahavishnu Orchestra broke up, and that first track is out of this world, Quadrant 4.
Yeah. Hey, so the album is a mix of a lot of things. There's a lot of different genres on here. There's stuff with vocal, there's stuff without vocals, there's covers, there's a little everything on here. That was the idea, I would imagine, from the get-go. That's really what you wanted to accomplish. I mean, look, your stuff has always been a big melting pot, but to do that with this record as well?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a journey. Part of the thing was letting the journey take shape and change me as it went along. As I said, I was responding to different things that were happening, and it wasn't until the very end that the complete picture emerged. One of the songs, we have a song, In Effigy, which is, I think, the Emphasis track that's coming out now, and it's one of my first appearances singing lead, especially with Greg. Both my wife, Gabri, and Greg used to always encourage me to sing, and I was always kind of gun shy about it. And then I decided to put this song on the album, and so there's that. And fortunately, I also have the fantastic Miss Olivia Anglin helping me out with background vocals.
And I want to ask you about the track "The Haunting," which is out now as well, because that's got kind of like a Prince Sly Stone vibe to it. That's really cool. Who's singing on that?
That's Kevin Webb. That's Mr. Kevin Webb, and he's a terrific vocalist. We recorded that years ago, and we're all huge Prince fans and Sly Stone fans, and you hit the nail on the head. Those were the two things that were really influential. In a way, I like the kind of introspective, funky things. He liked the song Pop Life. I love that aspect of Prince, or Sign of the Times. I love that aspect, that kind of more low-key aspect of Prince, and that basically was sort of the underpinning influence on The Haunting. Because The Haunting is really about this idea that we're all haunted by the things that we don't do, the things that we put aside. Broken relationships, lost opportunities, procrastination. It's a kind of universal human experience. I certainly have it in my life, and that was kind of the underpinning of the lyrics for that tune.
Did you know Prince at all?
Yes, and not as well as I would have liked. He was such a funny presence. He showed up. We played in this club in Minneapolis, and he showed up to this club, and this was like kind of the same year that he passed, and he came through. And it was funny because we were playing, it was a really fun show, and then people ran up to us and said, "You know who was here? You know that he was here." I said, "Damn it." It was such a drag. When we played Experience Hendrix, he showed up, people like, he was there at the soundboard, and there was I had these funny, weird encounters with him. One time when the Palladium was an active club, he was driving by in his limousine, he rolled down the window, he was like, "Yo, Vern, I turned. He said, "Yo, man, you should come and jam." And so I had these odd, meetings with him, and it was just a curious thing because he was always kind of weirdly in the periphery, and it was just I didn't have nearly enough direct contact with him. And it was funny. I got a phone call one time. The boss wants you to come out to Minneapolis. I said, okay, sure, send me the details. Then I didn't get a call back again. It was weird stuff like that.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen what the two of you guys could have come up with musically, man. I think that would have been amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is one of the great frustrations. He was a true genius. He could be very, very complex, but he could also break things down, like a song like Kiss, and just put a blues out there. And that was part of his genius. Like, he knew when to do it just really basic or when to make it kind of baroque. That was such a great thing about it.
I know his drummer a little bit, Michael Bland, who he plays in Soul Asylum, who I love. And Prince actually covered, believe it or not, a Soul Asylum song. Dave Perner told me this story. Dave Perner said that, they're Minneapolis, man, and Dave Perner said that Prince called and said, would you mind if I really like this song you did called Stand Up and Be Strong. He goes, would you mind if I recorded it? And Perner was just like, now look, I think Perner's one of the most underrated songwriters in history. I love Perner. But Dave was like, Prince is asking me if he can cover me? Like, Prince wants to cover, like, it was like the highest honor Perner could get. And Dave never knew if Prince actually ever cut the song. And then Michael Bland, who played with Prince and is now plays with Dave, Bland tells Perner, oh yeah, I recorded that. He goes, I did the drums on it. He goes, I remember Prince did record it. And it was killing Dave because he wanted to hear what he did with it. And then, as they've been leaking this, slowly releasing stuff from the Prince archives, they actually put it out. It came out. It does exist. This is crazy.
Wow.
It's out there. And I always said to Michael Bland, I said, as a guy who's, much more rooted as a hard rock guy, I said, I would have always loved to have heard Prince make a hard rock record.
Oh my God.
Because he had it in him. Yeah, and Vern, Michael said to me, he goes, well, how do you know he didn't? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, dude, there are hours and days of tapes and stuff he did. He goes, tons of unreleased stuff. He goes, some of it I'm on. He goes, he may have made 3 of those records. You just haven't heard him yet.
Wow. It's so funny because the Living Color, we did many shows with Soul Asylum over the years, so they were, one of a favorite band to play with.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And it's so funny. There was this one crazy David Turner story. So I'm around Irving Plaza, right? So I'm walking on Irving Plaza, and I hear, as always, hey, Vern. And I turn, and it's a cab. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, that's David Turner. And then he opened the door, and it was Winona Ryder was in the cab with him.
Oh, that's when he was dating her. That's when they were big. They were really big, yeah.
And I think my jaw hit the pavement when I realized it was Winona Ryder. And they just closed the closed door and zoomed off. So yeah. I reminded her that we did a Chris Cornell tribute in L.A. and he was a part of it, and I reminded him of that crazy story.
Yeah, no doubt. So speaking of, this record that we've been talking about, Hoodoo Telemetry from Vernon Reid, is out everywhere on Friday. A couple tracks out already, so be sure to check that out. Let me hit you with a couple other things before I gotta go, Vern.
Sure.
Obviously, I gotta ask you about Living Color because it's been a while for a record with the band. I know our mutual buddy Frankie Bello said he was kind of doing some stuff with you guys.
Yeah.
Where's
we were.
Where's things at? What's happening?
we've been recording and writing, and it's funny you should ask. Tomorrow we're going to be on Jimmy Kimmel playing Cult tomorrow, and that's going to be crazy.
Really?
Yeah. So that's happening tomorrow, and we're looking forward to the next tunes. We've done a set of tunes. We're probably going to do quite a few more before we settle on what the album is. But that's an ongoing process. And man, there's a lot going on, and we're processing where we are right now. And I'm really looking forward to the next steps. But we're active inside of that. And interestingly enough, I sat in last night with talking about a guitarist who I adore, Alex Skolnick of Testament. He's got a new record coming on, a new Trio record, and we wound up doing a jam on Up From the Skies last night. So it's been a fun period. It's a fun period.
Going back to Kimmel, I just realized something, because I immediately defaulted to Fallon because I know he does his show from New York, but Kimmel's doing it from Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, at Brooklyn, at BAM. Yeah.
Right, he does that week from Brooklyn. So, okay, that's why I was confused there for a second, because now I forgot he was doing a New York week. So, makes sense for you guys to be doing that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So, the record, as far as the Living Color record, stuff recorded yet? You're still writing? You're just kind of bouncing stuff off with people, working with different people? Like, is that what the vibe is right now?
Yeah, we got a few. We got quite a few tracks. We like you mentioned, Frank Sabella. We collaborated with him. We got a few tracks, and it's elusive. There's a thing that I'm, in particular myself, that I'm looking to hear us do. And some of the tracks, we're kind of cataloging and writing as we go, and it's pretty exciting. Some of the things are there. Will Calhoun brought in a wonderful tune the other day that's fully written by him. It's really cool. He covered a kind of obscure Dr. John thing that I think is pretty fun. But there's, me, I'm looking to come up with the riffs, like I'm looking for those are kind of implacable, irresistible riffs. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And so we're in process, and we were recording out at the Carriage House, which is very, very cool. We were recording at the Clubhouse here, so it's been a fun process.
Man, I spent a lot of time at the Carriage House back in the day in my label years. I had a band that worked out of there, and Overkill did records out of there, and I remember that, man. That's I'm glad that studio's still going. A guy named John owned it back in the day. I don't know if he still does. Same guy?
Yes, he does. Same guy.
Well, if he remembers me, send him my best. That's in a beautiful area, Connecticut. That's a cool spot. I'm glad that's still happening. Live shows. Are you going to try to do some for the solo record or no?
Yeah, once the record is out, I've been doing a lot of press for it, and I'm hoping to hit some of the festivals when the festival season starts. And we played at the Blue Note last week, and that was kind of wild because a lot of these tunes I had not played in public. So I played a few things from the record. I played some things from Mistaken Identity, and the show was pretty well received. It went really well, and now that I've played some of these tunes, we played The Haunting, and I'm kind of, now that it's happened, I'm looking forward to playing it more live, and we just have to weave it in between whatever Living Color is going to be doing. But we're mainly focused on writing the next record, so I think I'll have some ability to get out there and play at different venues and stuff. Hopefully we'll play in New York again, when the record's actually out.
Is there Living Color live stuff on the books now, as far as shows with the band?
Yeah, we have some. Well, at some point, I'm going to be doing an acoustic set with Corey, for charity. That's upcoming. We are also doing a Living Color. We're going to be doing a show, I believe, at City Winery. Don't quote me. I think the 29th of October. I don't want to misquote, but we are going to be doing like some, things like that. But extensive touring. Again, the focus is going to be primarily, we'll be doing individual things, of course, but the focus is going to be primarily writing.
And you guys did a ton of shows with Extreme recently. I thought that was a great double bill, and I'm curious how that all went for you guys and your thoughts on it.
Yeah, man, that went really well because there's a lot of personal simpatico between the two bands. And, it was really a lot of fun. And Nuno Betancourt, they have awesome respect for him. He's fabulous. He's a fabulous guitar player. And, Gary Sharon, fabulous vocalist. I mean, they're a great band. And we got along really well with them. And our crews got along. So it was fun. It's always fun when the whole thing works, and the whole thing worked. We did about maybe 2 years, last couple of years with them.
Yeah.
Year and a half. Yeah. But it was fun because, we were able to, get some new fans out of the deal too. And it was really a lot of fun.
It's crazy. Like I was talking about this the other day. I mean, people have always known that Nuno is an incredible player, but I think he's going to a whole nother level now. I mean, ever since this new record and that song Rise and that solo and then the stuff at the Ozzy tribute and then the VMAs recently, I mean, he's just like really going to a whole new level of awareness, it seems like. Did you guys jam at all when you were out together?
We did a little bit. We did a little bit. It was a little funny because we were jamming, and then Gary Sharon stepped on my pedal, and it was a bit of it was a little bit argy bargy when we did, but yeah, but I want to do some more jamming with them at some point.
Yeah, because they got some funk ends to some of their music too, so it'd be pretty good. You guys would be, I think, good jamming. It'd be cool to hear that.
Yeah, we had a great. We were very complimentary to one another. Yeah.
And last thing, I got to ask you, what was your experience like at Back to the Beginning? I mean, you were part of the Ozzy Sabbath farewell, and you were up there, and for a few songs. How did that all go for you?
Well, I think it went pretty well. I think part of it was a funny. We didn't I think about the whole. Like everybody was there. We were there for Ozzy, and nobody really thought that it was the end. Clearly he had some health challenges, but it was really the energy was really high, and it felt like, oh man, maybe we'll do this in the States or something. And it actually was that, and that. We didn't go in. It wasn't that vibe that it's over like that. It was just a celebration. And so when it turned out that it was the final performance, it was crazy. One of the greatest things was to see Sabbath for the last time, to hear War Pigs with the whole crowd on every word. It was incredible. That was incredible.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew that it was going to be the last time. I mean, I don't think anybody believes anything's the last time anymore either, given all the bands that do farewells and come back every time.
There was that.
The Who are on tour right now, and they did their first farewell in '82. So there you go. But but yeah, nobody. I mean, people don't know this. I brought it up a couple times. Speaking of Bello and the Anthrax guys, I was in England a week after that thing, and Frankie was like, "Yeah, I'm in Birmingham. We're doing a signing show with Ozzy." I'm like, "What?" Ozzy was doing a signing in Birmingham a week after Back to the Beginning. It was a shock to everybody that was the end. But look, as everybody said, as tragic as it is, what the guy basically had a living funeral. I mean, it's crazy to have had that experience, Yeah,
to see him on the black throne was that was deep, and to see the look in his eyes as he looked out on his people, everybody in the stadium. It was very, it was very, very moving to see that, and to feel the love, the waves of love being thrown back at that throne. It was something.
Yeah, I had Robert Trujillo from Metallica on shortly after Ozzy's funeral, and he actually broke down on the air because he said there was a moment where Ozzy asked Robert to see James Hetfield, and Robert went and got James and brought him over, and James kind of took a knee next to the throne and was talking to him, and Robert said it was like he was literally watching the proverbial passing of the metal torch from Ozzy to James, with like, okay, you take it from here, as far as, Metallica being pretty much the biggest band in that world. So it was really a heavy moment for him too, having played with Ozzy and then in Metallica.
It has to be said, Tom Morello was kind of the overall kind of MD and organizer of it, and he did yeoman's work on that. I mean, it was a tremendous event, and all the things that happened, all the connections. I hadn't seen, Slash for a really long time. William Duvall was there, we've been friends for years, and Jerry Cantrell, and just running into all of these people who we've been a part of each other's lives in one way or another. And it was an incredible to be there with the Anthrax, to hang with them, and they're definitely like brothers to us. And so it was a very emotional and very real experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to Tom several times since, and yeah, he knocked it out of the park. And I know it was something he put a lot. I told him, I said, I'm sure it probably took years off your life dealing with all those people, but you killed it, man. You did an amazing job, and he really did. So, well, listen, man, congrats on the record. Again, everybody check out Vernon's album. It's out everywhere on Friday, Hoodoo Telemetry, and we'll keep an eye out for you. And you can see Vernon with Living Color on Jimmy Kimmel Live tomorrow from Brooklyn. That's really cool as well. Looking forward to the new Living Color music as well. It's always good to talk to you, man. All the best, and say hi to the guys.
Hey, absolutely. Eddie, thank you for having me. Mr. Eddie Trunk, you're the dean of this rock and roll stuff, so, it's always a pleasure,
Anytime, man. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Hope to see you soon, man. All the best, all right?
All right, man. You take care. We do.
See ya. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.
There's Vernon Reid, everybody. Appreciate him checking in. Some really cool stuff on this record. It's eclectic. I'm not going to lie. It's eclectic. It's not all straight up rock, but his guitar playing, man, that guy's got he's got one of those tones when you hear it, that's Vernon. And there's a lot of that on this record as well. Joel, if you have something queued up?
I've got The Haunting.
I want to see if you can do you have the whole record, or just you don't have the whole record in front of you, do you?
I have the released tracks, Beautiful Bastards and The Haunting.
All right, so do a little bit of Haunting. I wanted to play a little bit of that opening track, but yeah, then again, that's not released yet. It's Friday, so maybe not. Okay, yeah, give him a little bit of The Haunting, but that opening track is killer. But this is cool too. Really cool stuff. We'll be right back. Another interview. Millie from Steelheart, Jeff Keith of Tesla, standing by next on Trunk Nation.